So I decided to use Victor Klemperer as my protagonist and to discuss the importance of identity. So Victor Klemperer faced many challenges with living authentically because he's proud to be German and loves his homeland of Germany, which is why he didn't flee to the United States at the beginning of the Holocaust, which is something that his brother had done and mentioned to him. But as the events of the Holocaust progressed, he couldn't hold as much pride due to how he was being treated for being Jewish, even though he identified himself as being German first. He converted to Protestantism and he received a Distinguished Service Medal for fighting in the First World War. And the expression of his identity is dependent on the context he finds himself in, because even though he had served in the war for Germany and was a professor at a university, which are the parts of his identity that he was the most proud of, none of it mattered because he was viewed as only a Jew to the Germans. And being a German was something he was so prideful about that he mentioned it several times throughout his diaries, and he even mentioned that there was no answer to the German or Western European question. The answer was, in his opinion, at the end of the day, those Jews were still German above all else. His identity also became reliant on the fact that he was married to his wife Eva, who was Aryan, and their marriage is the only thing that saved him from being deported to a camp and most likely death, and allowed him to remain in Dresden. So, as the events of the Holocaust progressed, he had to take on a sole identity of just kind of being Eva's husband, whereas prior to the Holocaust, um, his identity was more important than hers, in the fact that his career as a professor came first to her career as a pianist, which is why she mainly just focused on maintaining the gardens at their house. So throughout the Holocaust, Victor had to transition from being just a proud German to having to adjust to the ridicule and abuse that he received for being Jewish, even though he wouldn't identify himself as being Jewish. He just saw himself as being born a Jew.